Hey everyone, I'm going to do a comparison video between the Samsung Galaxy Nexus and the HTC DROID DNA, both on Verizon. And correct, it's not a fair comparison because this one came out probably sometime around the end of 2011 and this one came out around November 2012. But I'm actually upgrading from the Galaxy Nexus to the DNA, so I thought I'd share some features between the two. So first of all, well, clearly the power is on the side here on the Samsung, and on the HTC the power button's on the top. And then here you have your little lock screen, and this one you can kind of this one you can kind of go to either side or around this sphere in the middle. So you just kind of move that. Alright, so as I mentioned, I kind of set these things up very similar. One of the things to point out is that the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is actually a smaller screen, but it's pure Google, whereas this has the HTC has HTC Sense. Not very many phones are pure Google because most of the phone manufacturers actually add their own skin over the top. So there's kind of things and software layered over the stock Android. So that's generally what the idea between the two is. So on specs, screen size, this is 4.6 inches and this is a full 5-inch. I would also say though that you get more screen real estate here because of the fact that on the Galaxy Nexus, part of the screen is these keys here, whereas on the DROID DNA, the keys are actually built into the bezel. So rather than them being on the screen as they are here in the Galaxy Nexus, if they were down here and this was part of the screen, I don't think you can really count this as screen real estate just because of the fact that the buttons are there. So if I really line the buttons up next to each other, then what I'll find is that this screen's even higher than this screen by far. And so I think you get that much extra real estate of usable space. And then if I stack them next to each other, you'll find that you're going to get much narrower as well. So 5-inch screen versus 4.6, but the 4.6, if these were hardware keys on the bottom here, you'd have that usable extra, maybe like quarter, half of an inch or whatever it is. So the positive thing about the Galaxy Nexus is that if you can see here, you can fit the Google bar on the top, whereas as on the HTC, it won't go up as high. I can try to move it up higher, but this is actually the highest spot. If I go up any higher, it's going to remove it. So that's as high as that can go. This goes a little bit higher. So here you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the phone. Here you can only fit 3. There's no more room to put any additional widgets. If I try to go up higher, it won't go. It'll just cover over the top of that one. So you actually fit less home screen widgets. So if that's an issue for you, do what you got to do. Also, when it comes to the, sorry, I turned the camera on this. When it comes to the home screen, this the Galaxy Nexus goes a certain distance, and that's it. In each direction, depending on how many screens you have. I think there's 5. And the DROID DNA actually spins completely around and will bring you back. You can just keep going one way or the other way, and it'll just be a carousel circle. And I think you have 7 home screens versus the 5 that you have here. Another thing to consider is you have your this is the pure Google little menu button, and then this guy has a square, which I think most other ones do. The icons look similar. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and you can have as many pages of icons that you have. I obviously have less programs on here so far. On the pure Google one, every time you go home, you basically, when you go into your apps, you start with the first app. I stand corrected. I thought you did, but here you the same thing. You kind of go back to various. So What else can I say about these guys? One of the things that I like a lot about the Droid DNA is that if you were in text messages, let's say, or even email, I'll use email as an example, and then I'll go over here as well onto the Galaxy Nexus, and I'll go to my same email account. One of the things that you'll find, well, actually here it's the same, you can click on a bunch of them one by one and you can delete multiple. And then here the same thing, you can click on a bunch and delete multiple. One of the things you can't do though on the Galaxy Nexus is in your messaging, whereas here you can. You can't delete several text messages from one person all at the same time, whereas here I can go to menu and hit delete messages, and I could do delete by selection, and I could just randomly pick, or pick whichever ones I want and just delete certain messages. Whereas here, if I go to menu, the only options I have is add subject, insert smiley, delete thread, or settings. So I don't have the option to delete multiple. And so here I just picked a bunch of text messages, and then I can just go down here and delete all of them if I wanted. I actually end up doing that. Whereas on the Galaxy Nexus, you actually have to hold it down and then pick delete, which is a lot slower of a process. Screen quality, I've never really complained about the screen quality of the Galaxy Nexus, but it's a 720p, whereas the DNA is a 1080p. So if you look at these screens, you're going to notice a difference. This is a little bit more white and washed a little bit more. This one's definitely more full, darker color. Let me put this also on the highest brightness, just so I'm comparing apples to apples here. It's definitely clearer and more robust here than it is here. Alright. Battery life, it's not even a competition. The battery on the Galaxy Nexus, I think, is really, really bad. With a battery saver app, and I use what's called, I can't remember the name of it, I use Easy Battery Saver. The battery on this thing, if you turn off the battery when you need to, it can last you maybe 8-9 hours. This Droid DNA, I've already gotten 24 hours out of it. So there's no way this is going to keep up with the battery in here, even though I have the extended battery here, which should be close to the same amount of battery. The good thing about the pure Google is you're supposed to get updates a lot faster, but it also depends on the carrier. So if you have the unlocked version, you're going to get your updates directly from Google. Verizon, for good or for bad, and a lot of people say it's bad if they really want the most up-to-date software, and it's going to be slower on Verizon than the unlocked version. But I think the people that have the unlocked version sometimes get, in all fairness, sometimes will get a less quality. There'll be more bugs on the first release, and Verizon will wait and hopefully get it right. So like I said, just the sizing of the icons, the sizing of my calendar, I can spread that out more here and still have icons below. Here I really can't do that, so there is some limitations on the screen. The other thing that you can do on a pure Google one is you could delete any and all apps, but unfortunately when you buy almost any other type of phone from Verizon as well as other carriers, they're going to throw a lot of what we call bloatware onto the phone. So what that is a bunch of apps that you may or may not, and typically it's going to be do not want to have on your phone. So you say, all right, well, that's, and you can't delete them. There's no way to delete them unless you root your phone and delete apps that way. So what do you do about that? You can go into menu and you can go to hide apps. And then you can pick the apps that you like, that you don't want, or that you don't like, I guess I would say, and check the boxes on them. and those apps will no longer show up. They'll still be there on the phone. Like I said, there's no way to actually delete them, but the good thing is that they're, for all intents and purposes, not seen. So at least from that perspective, you don't have to look at them all. And I'm not sure that other phones actually have this feature, at least not ones that I've had in the past. So what are the things that are interesting for the DNA is that it has, various skins that you can use. So when you turn on your lock screen, for example, I just have this little widget. In the morning, I have it where the weather comes up, and they have a lot of their own built-in widgets that you can use for various screens. Another thing that's interesting and different between the two is if you turn this on, you basically have your main lock screen. Whereas with the Galaxy Nexus, if you turn it on, you actually have options to change your screen. You can swipe between various screens and add widgets to various screens so that you can look at things without even turning it on, and you can turn to your camera without doing anything else. I understand there's a way, and I haven't learned it yet with the DROID DNA, to simply go right into the camera, and there's a way to prevent lock screens, but you can kind of customize your lock screen here as well as in a different way on the Galaxy Nexus. So again, two kind of different experiences. The Galaxy Nexus is currently running on Google Android version 4.2.2, which is pretty close to the most updated. I think there's a 4.3 now, but you can see here it's 4.2.2. And when it comes to the DROID DNA, this is as of October 22nd. About phone, it is running version 4.1.1. So you're not at the same, obviously, iteration of Google. But generally speaking, a lot of people that want the pure Google experience. I don't know that Verizon has any other pure Google, so still a great phone. The Galaxy Nexus is. It has a 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor. This has a 1.5 gigahertz quad core processor, so you're going to get a lot faster phone. Camera, I think, is much better, but both of them have pretty good cameras as far as I can tell, as far as what I've seen with the new one, with the DNA. So yeah, I think it's the screen size, faster, the battery. Those are going to be the pluses on here. Pure Google experience here, screen resolution here, screen size. The size of it, and you can't tell here, but the size of these are roughly about the same without a case on it. I like to have a case with a little kickstand on it so you can watch video. This guy too, I got one with a kickstand. Flip that up. So I guess if we were going to try one app to do a comparison, I will go to, actually I should just do it from here. I will go to YouTube on both phones and just look up a video, and you can just kind of compare the two videos that you see. So YouTube, well, this one, I no longer have my SIM card in here in the Galaxy Nexus, so I'm going to turn on my Wi-Fi. What I'll do here, and it may not be fair because one's going to be on Wi-Fi and one's going to be on the Verizon network, but I'm going to click on the YouTube app at the same time on both and see which one comes up first. So I think that would mainly be system-based. Yeah. What to watch. No recent activity for your channels. I don't know why that is, but I'm gonna come out of it again and just try that one more time just to see if I can get that. And yeah, that's what I was saying before, is typically if you go home on the Galaxy Nexus and you go into apps wherever you are, if you go back into the screen, it's gonna, and it didn't here, it seemed, but my understanding is most of the time it goes back to where it was. So again, the icons are a little bit bigger here, but let's click on YouTube for both and see what we get. So really loads fast here, and did here, but it just says I have no activity. So trending, let's see, history. Alright, so here's the DROID DNA 11 tips. Here's this guy does some great videos, and I'll do one of his over here too.
I did it!
Hold on. Okay, curved phones explained. So I'm going to put both of these guys up on their kickstands.
Dude, we just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance with Geico. Let's celebrate! I don't think so.
Did what?
I climbed this mountain!
Well, I save hundreds on my car insurance with Geico.
Could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Hey, what is up, guys? The display you're watching this on. Hey, what is up, guys? It's KDHD here, and the display you're watching this on, your monitor is flat. It's flat. Your TVs are flat. Your computer monitor is flat. Your phones and your tablets are flat, and that's fine. That's what everyone is basically used to.
So if you look at the screen resolution and size, clearly you got a much bigger picture here. Also, you have a much more detailed picture here. I've never complained when I had this phone. I've never looked at this and said, yeah, you know, issue with the picture. It's a 720p. It's got good quality. But if I come over here, it's just way better quality. Bigger and much better. So that's my review and comparison between these two phones, the Samsung Galaxy Nexus on Verizon and the DROID DNA on Verizon. Hope you found this interesting. Thanks.